Welcome to the Small Business Community Network podcast, your connection to the small business community. Welcome to the Small Business Community Network podcast, your connection to the small business community. Visit us online at www.sbcncanada.org and find out how we can help your business grow. We're proudly supported by TELUS, the future is friendly, and by Prime Information Security, because business is risky enough.
Hello everyone, it's Linda OJ here, co-founder of the Small Business Community Network, here with another SBCN Small Biz podcast, and today we have our regular guest, Chris Davies, Polarverse. Hi Chris.
Hi Linda, how are you?
I'm doing okay, thank you. We haven't had the pleasure of your company for, I guess, at least a month, because you've been terribly busy with Polarverse and you've been travelling and everything, but I believe today we're going to talk about I think it's one of the most interesting subjects today, ransomware.
Yes, well, it's certainly the biggest threat out there right now.
It's the biggest threat out there right now. So I guess you want to share some of your wisdom. I mean, the first question I'm going to say is, should I be able to understand what you're going to tell us today? I mean, would I get my IT guy to look at, the website with all the information on, or will I get the gist of it?
Well, as you know, I try to explain things in layman terms and take out the techno babble. So it's really about everyone needs to know a little bit about it in order to avoid getting infected. So, I'm sure you've heard about it in the news. Like even Canadian companies get hit.
Mm-hmm.
Like in June this past year, like University of Calgary paid $20,000 in ransom.
Oh my goodness!
To get, and that's they range anywhere from $1,000 to $50,000. They ask for to release your files.
Now, in simple terms, though, I mean, I'm very lucky, as you know. I do have you, obviously, and I have my husband and business partner, Dave, who do advise me on these things. But I've got pretty clever, noticing certain things. So I try and help other people by posting awareness tips or guides from you or from Dave or from other people. But not everybody can be bothered to read those tips and guides. So they're not as, say, aware or educated as you and I. So we can't help those people, can we? But we can help the people who want to know, how we can...
You can lead the horse to water, right?
That's correct. So what can we do? What would be the first step, to not do something stupid like pay money to bad guys?
A lot of it is common sense. Like a lot of it is spread through spam. Like you get an email that tries to entice you to either download an attachment or click on a link. So if you're getting like an email from someone you don't know, you definitely don't want to click on any links or download any attachments that you're not expecting. Even when it comes from someone you know, it doesn't necessarily mean that person actually sent it.
Yeah, because I get those a lot, and I'm not worried about them, obviously, but a lot of people might just click on the links. I got one the other day from a guy in England, a friend of mine and Dave's, and basically I knew it wasn't from him, and, it asked me to click on a link. I mean, it had his name,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't believe they'd taken over his email or anything like that, it wasn't.
No, there's lots of ways to spoof an email address to make it look like it came from that person when it actually didn't.
But I mean, what about if we click on the link? I mean, is that awful? I mean, will that mean they take... Ooh, what will they...
It takes.
Sorry?
That's all it takes. It could happen in a matter of seconds at that point once you click a link.
So tell us what happens once I click the link.
Well, if it's ransomware, it will download a malicious code or script of some kind, and basically it encrypts all your data so that you can't open it without a decryption code. It's like putting a password on every single file you have, and you can't open it without that password, and that's what the ransom is. They want you to pay the ransom to give you the code to get back at your files.
Now, okay, so I've clicked on a link, and then do I get a message off them saying, give us the money,
Maybe not right away. Sometimes it might not happen until the next reboot, although depending on what it is, it could be almost immediate, where you'll get a message on the screen saying your files have been locked, and you might not be able to do anything on your system at all until you pay that ransom.
Now, you mentioned quite a well-known company at the beginning of the podcast, so I can understand why I might fall for it, or, people who are not quite so aware, and we don't have a large IT security bit in our organisation, but why do the larger companies fall for this?
Well, it just takes an individual to click on a link, right? And the thing with ransomware is it's always evolving, it's always changing. Like there's like over 4 million different types of ransomware out there, so it's impossible for just something like antivirus to be able to catch all of it.
Well, in your you've shared a wonderful page with me that's yours, obviously, but you mentioned education, security, and backup. So we've already said we can educate people, but not everybody's going to listen or want to know.
Right.
So is it down to
That's why you need all three of those things.
But say we've got the security and the backup, will that help us at all if we're not educated, or not really, because it's a link, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the security will depend on what you have in place. Like you need to have what's called layered security, because antivirus by itself won't catch everything. A firewall by itself won't stop everything. An anti-malware by itself won't do it all. So you kind of need all these different things in place. But if it is something new, the security may not have an antivirus or a way of blocking it, and it'll still get on your system, and that's where your backups will come into play. So
could you explain how the backup, so the backup is something we have that the bad guy can't get to?
Depending on how you've set it up. Like, there's good backups and there's bad backups, of course. And in our previous podcast, we talked about business continuity, and that's really the type of backup that I'm referring to. You want something that's going to be taking a full image backup of your systems, that is stored locally and both off-site, like in the cloud. So basically, if you did get infected with ransomware and you're being asked to pay a ransom, it did say get by. You got somebody who clicked on a link that they shouldn't have, and it got by your security, and now you're at a point where everything's been compromised, like it's all locked. At that point, you could just go to your backup and restore to a point in time, which will come up clean. You won't have the infection or anything, and you haven't had to pay a ransom. I can say with 100% confidence, any client of mine that is using my business continuity solution will never pay a ransom.
I love that. I love the way you say that with such, you really do mean that. You're not just saying it to get new clients. And I guess your customers and clients back you up on that. You have your own backup. The thing is this, though, is it like a lost cause? I mean, is it just getting worse? I mean, it doesn't.
It is getting worse. There's no real end in sight. I think because one of the things that I've in my research of it that I've seen is there's no law enforcement in place, because a lot of times the ransom is at lower amounts, like between 1,000 and 5,000. So they don't see it as being a big enough thing to create a task force or anything for it. And there are also hackers that are creating kits that almost anybody could run their own ransomware scam. They don't even need to have a lot of technical knowledge to do it.
Okay. It seems to me one of the scariest things out there, because especially for small business owners who don't have a lot of capital, of money to waste, or any money to waste.
No.
So it seems,
your downtime, and then you've got your downtime on top of that as well, right? Even though you're paying the ransom, you have all this time that you're down while you can't do anything.
So really, it's like, this is the most depressing thing I've heard in a long time. Are you going to tell, I know we've talked a little bit about, how we can help ourselves, and you have an awesome solution. I guess a lot of other people do. But then we've just established even large companies are falling for it. So there is no way out.
You can't remove the human factor, right? I've clicked on links sometimes, and it's like, why did I click on that all of a sudden? Just takes one moment of, of not thinking to have something happen. I mean, anybody could do it.
I guess thinking about it, like if we wanted to start a new business, maybe it's a good business to get into because you make a lot of money. Do these people ever get arrested? Do they ever get caught?
I have not seen any stats on that, so I can't really comment one way or the other.
That's weird, isn't it? It's like a bad, lucrative business where, you know, people make money from silly people or people who are not aware. So can you make me feel better and tell me that it's you know, it's not as bad as it sounds, or is it really as bad as it sounds and we have to educate ourselves?
Well, it is very bad if it happens to you, and I think the problem is a lot of people go with the mentality, oh, that won't happen to me. Well, it can happen to anybody. Look, it happened at the University of Calgary. It's happened to a number of medical firms in Canada. It's all over the U.S. Like, there's nowhere in the world that, you could say you're protected 100% from it. There's nothing that will protect you 100%. You just have to create layers of security that protect you so that you don't have to pay a ransom and you can get back up and going as quickly as possible if it does happen to happen to you.
Yeah. So how can we spread the word amongst, I deal with a lot of smaller businesses, 1 to 500, primarily people maybe in the company, or it could just be a sole proprietor. Is it good for me to keep on plodding on and sharing your information and other people's information and hope that they do take notice of it? Shall I just keep on doing that?
Yeah, but a lot of it's education, right? Like that ebook that I have available, that we can put a link with the podcast.
Yeah, we will.
That it's really done in layman terms to explain what ransomware is and goes into a little more detail than what we're talking about and how to protect yourself.
And then hopefully people will read it, take notice, and if they've got some questions, I guess they can contact you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we will put a link, yes, definitely on the podcast page. So this web page that you've shared with me, this is on your website, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. So what's your website address again, just so people who are listening?
Polarverse.com.
Oh, God, that's easy, polarverse.com. So how many situations like this do you deal with, say, on a monthly basis? You don't, do you? Because you've just stated that your customers are well looked after.
Yeah, I haven't dealt with it in a while. I have had in the past, like I have got calls where someone says that they're infected, and at that point all I can tell them to do is to pay the ransom because they have no other alternative. Because once it's happened, they can't do anything to undo it.
They've left it too late, haven't they?
Yeah. Like you have to be proactive on it. You can't do anything about it after it happens. It's not like in the old days where you got a virus that's affecting the machine. You can boot from a CD or something to run the antivirus. You can't do that anymore with this type of thing. Now,
how long has this been going on for? A couple of years? Longer than a couple of years? Is it brand new? I mean.
No, it's not brand new. It's been getting worse. Like they were actually saying from just in 2016 over the last quarter of 2015, it's up about almost 800% increase. So I mean, it's getting worse and worse. I'm not sure exactly when it started. I thinking the CryptoLocker was probably the very first one that everyone's probably familiar with that name.
It's terrible.
And I'm thinking that was 2013, 2014, but I'm really not sure. I'm just pulling the number out of my head.
So basically, you're offering this awesome free ebook, The Business Guide to Ransomware, and it says there's ways to protect your business against ransomware attacks. And there's lots of education in it. It's simple to use. People can download it for free. So I would definitely recommend people listening to this podcast seriously. And I know you share this, online a lot. I would recommend that people download it. Now, how do we know we can trust this download? I mean, does it happen with, is it just a link? If I download something and I'm not sure about it, can it happen like that, or is it just a link? I mean, the download is a link.
There is a thing that's called a drive-by download, where if you go to, again, this comes down to like companies protecting themselves. Like if a website isn't properly protected, malicious code can be inserted on a legitimate site. That you just visit that site, and that's all you have to do. you don't necessarily have to click on anything.
Mm-hmm. But we know you're trusted. I'm saying now to everybody who's listening to the podcast, and I share your information. I know you're trusted, so we have to come to you or someone like you because we know that it is an ebook. It is going to help us, and basically, if we have any questions, we can come to you. Well. Mm-hmm. I guess it's not all bad news then. I'm very much into, awareness, prevention, early detection, which does relate to this. But in this case, there is no early detection, is there? It's just prevent. Don't click on anything.
Well, if it depends on what you come across. Like if it's a known version of the ransomware, your security could block it or pick it up. Like that's where I say you need the layered type of security. You need an antivirus, you need a web filter, you need anti-malware. There's a number of things you need to have in place to be as preventative as possible.
And you explain all that on the web page, even before we have, we want to download the
Yeah, I got kind of the highlights there.
Yeah. So basically, you've got how it spreads, types and variants, protection. You're giving us all this information. So if people are not, reading this, and you know what I do? I ask someone if I'm not sure. I say, well, you know what? I'm not sure about this. Dave's not around. Chris is not around. I'll ask another person who is, into this kind of thing. If in doubt, I never, touch anything that looks, weird to me. Mm-hmm. I can't thank you enough for giving us the time because I know you're incredibly busy. Are you off to any more conferences in the next couple of months? Because I know you went to
nothing planned. The last one was in Nashville that I went to just recently for
I would love to go to Nashville, but I don't think it's my kind of conference. I probably wouldn't understand what's going on.
I do want to stress, though, that, as much as putting security and education, I would say the one that you should not skimp on is the business continuity, because that's what's going to ultimately save you if the ransomware gets through the other levels. And you can help people with that, can't you? That is something that a lot of people... It's actually the focus of my business is business continuity, is to make sure that data is safe and recoverable. You see, I don't hear that a lot, and I do deal with a lot of businesses in your kind of, area, and I think that's really, really fantastic. Now, how do we find someone? Say we live too far away from you, and we can't, for some reason, hire you, engage you. Like, how do we find someone like you? Do we Google you, or do we come to you and can you recommend someone? Well, these days with everything being somewhat web-based and that, they don't necessarily have to be local to where I am, but I do have a network of technicians that if it was someone that was outside of the area, or maybe the person's still my client but I need a physical body to go to their location, I have all kinds of people that I can draw on for that sort of thing. So if someone still wants to deal with me, even though they're in Saskatchewan or something like that, they can still deal with me. Oh, that's awesome. So, yeah, you can do it from here, anywhere, really. That's really, really good to know. Well, again, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. I am aware how nasty this is, and I'm definitely not going to be paying money to the bad guys. So people out there, listen. I hope not. Dave would probably divorce me. Then I'll tell you weren't listening to me today. That'd be awful, wouldn't it? Married to somebody who talks about this and be connected to somebody like you, it would make sure I'm a definite blonde who's not listening to anyone. So listen, we'll definitely put the link on there. Thank you so much for your time. And I know you're busy, so hopefully in about a month we can come back and you can share your words of wisdom with us again. Sure. I appreciate it. Have a good day, Chris. You too, Linda. Bye. Bye-bye.